Champions, it's day 2 of the first round of quarterfinals here in the scoring stage, and things are about to heat up. I'm Dalsey, joined by Celtic Tiger and Ox to bring all of the fantastic action. Next up is the matchup that the entire United Kingdom League of Legends scene has been waiting for. Of course, it's the MISFITS Academy versus the ever-present Super Duper Giant Truck team.
Ever-present as long as they continue qualifying.
That's it. I mean, Super Duper Giant Truck team, it's quite an interesting one. We'll get into it a little bit. Just to remind people the format of the Forge of Champions, because it is very new. There are 4 qualifying tournaments. We're currently playing in the first one, where they are split into open stages and, of course, the scoring tournament. The open stage is open to everyone of all shapes and sizes to come and perform. Including trucks, apparently, where you can sign up on forgechampions.com with your team, or as a solo player if you want to get placed into a team. You then compete through the open bracket, a single elimination best of 1 to try and get to this scoring stage, which we have been showcasing. Currently 2-0s across the board, Wind and Rain taking it over Phelan, Eminem against Excel, Diabolus above Enclave, and now we get to see how the MISFITS Academy do shape up against the Super Duper Giant Truck team.
Wonder if it's going to be a 2-0 again. Yeah, I've had a lot of 2-0s so far, as you can see from that scoreboard. So
yeah, but the games have gotten closer as we went down.
That's true.
So actually, wait, Eminem XL.
So what we're expecting is a finger biter one between MISFITS and Super Duper Giant Truck team, down to the nails.
Yes. I mean, absolutely. It's the first place Open Division team versus the first place Premiership team. Here's that bracket so you can see how things have developed so far and see the teams that qualified through the Open bracket earlier on in the week. You can see the likes of Warwick eSports, a new team, Hyperion eSports, who's a Premiership team who got taken out by Phelan, Overheat, Newcastle Jaguars, Digital Warfare, and Forgotten Time all left us, as well as Desolate and Barrage eSports as well. I believe Desolate is also a new team as well, aren't they?
Yep, they are actually the champion Newell team. They are also from Exeter as our Super Duper Giant Truck team, and they faced each other in the Newell finals early this year, and they won 3-1. So they clearly had an answer for the trucks. I
mean, yeah, no, absolutely. You'd have to think, with being sister teams from the same university, that perhaps the little meta games that start to develop between that rivalry do form. Super Duper Giant Truck team, they have the likes of Watley, BB Muffin, White Walker, High on Anxiety, and Venomous Shrew. Perhaps new names to most people at this level of competitive. I mean, Watley and Venomous Shrew have been playing for Super Duper Giant Truck team for like 4 years now.
Not always under that name, but yeah, they've been playing together. It's kind of a weird one that they probably wouldn't have a huge amount of synergy between top and support, but maybe if we see something like that Shen support come out again, we might see them get to play together.
I don't know, when you have the cheesy roams top lane, those are things I love. You get level 3, you recall, you go top, they don't expect it, you end up doing some spicy stuff. That's what I'm hoping for this game.
I remember I knew someone who once played Soraka and then used to level 3 gank top. It was horrifying.
They sound like the worst sort of person, but you know, if it works.
Yeah, I mean, it used to work weirdly consistently.
I think just people don't expect it. I mean, if there's something, I mean, even if it's something more aggressive, like Blitzcrank or something, you don't expect it as much, but a Soraka, I would be tilted as well. If a Soraka turned up, imagine if that happened last game, they were going for that dive on a rift, and suddenly just a Soraka appears and heals them with the fall, and you're like,
Yeah, that would be one of the worst
Nice
things.
SS.
Yeah. Bot, question mark?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. That would be kind of scary. I mean, talking about supports, let's flip the tables. It's MISFITS Academy Prosper. I mean, he's been around for forever, and he kind of started at the bottom as far as, you know, the teams that were concerned, you know, coming on in.
Yeah, he started off pretty garbage. No, he started off on the lower end of teams, played on a Perilous Void, and then was at the bottom of the table, started to move up, but he's gotten better and better teams, and ultimately ended up winning last split with MISFITS Academy. These are our reigning champions. Obviously, it was a Premiership, not the Forge of Champions, but still, they come in as pretty heavy favourites.
Oh, absolutely, and you know, you have to consider the fact that these teams are playing for the place in the EU Masters, which then leads to you know, getting closer towards the EU LCS, with the Renegade Banditos being the UK team that did make it out of the Premiership all the way through to the EU LCS, now under the name of MISFITS, with Alfaria and Maxwell kind of carrying their way through there. You have to think that maybe that's what MISFITS are looking to do again.
Yeah, and I think, you know, they've started to look relatively strong. They didn't have a great showing at EU Masters. They unfortunately started to look really strong and then got smacked back down. So now coming back to the UK, want to show that they're still the strongest team here.
Yeah, I think the thing that we have to kind of highlight is that MISFITS Academy in the previous split when they did look so strong. They had Special in the mid lane, obviously a very talented laner who's now been promoted to substitute for MISFITS on the EULCS stage, and we expect him to play some games up there. They brought in Kenzuki to kind of replace it. That's some big boots to fill.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I would say, well, Special was the MVP of last split's finals, played extremely well and was dominant, particularly in the first 2 games. And I think, although they have lost him, they've got a new player. Kenzuki is very high in solo queue and sort of a raw talent, and I think this screams to me motivation. For a lot of people, yes, it's great to play in the UK, and you hope there are options for teams. With MISFITS Academy, you've just seen your mid laner go into an in-house sub on the main team.
Right.
Their coach, Zen, is now an assistant coach to the main team. Like, it's a great opportunity. If you're there on MISFITS Academy, you're probably thinking, if I can do a good enough job this split, if I can prove myself, I have a chance to move up. Maybe not as a starting role yet, but as a sub or a supporting role in an LCS team. And as we saw from Bwipo, you can start off in a sub role and quickly move up to a better position.
I mean, that's the entire point of an academy team, right? Is to develop talent in a national league or whatever that you can then bring up to the big boys table. And so that's what MISFITS Academy are looking to do here. Prosper, as you mentioned, kind of started at the bottom as far as the UK teams were concerned, but, had enough, decided to form his own roster. They came second when they did that. And it's just been kind of like an upwards journey for him.
Yeah, Prosper's been consistent in the regular split throughout. He'll probably be consistent in these qualifying tournaments. In the past 3 splits, I believe. No, past 2 splits. He's gone dropped 1 game across the entire split, which is pretty amazing. Actually, no, past 3 splits, because he did a last split as well. So yeah, past 2 splits, dropped 1 game, so very consistent in the regular split. The joke was playoffs Prosper, but he has shaken that off. He did a lot better at the grand finals last split, and obviously won. So made a bit of redemption. I think a big factor was me retiring, as I was obviously there to knock him down throughout. So you're welcome. But no, obviously he's just part of his team. I think a big aspect he brings is his shot calling ability, and I have actually spoken to him recently, and he says historically people have sometimes said he's not as mechanically gifted as other players. He's not as good in lane, and this split he wants to disprove that. He's already shown that he's very good in terms of macro and shot calling, but he wants to show that he's individually a talented player as well.
I mean, talking about talented players, let's go up to the top side. Shikari, who's a back-to-back Premiership winner, and when you consider his strengths in the top lane, he can do it all.
Yeah, I mean, he tends to prefer leaning towards these carries, but even recently you've seen, he can go towards those tankier members, allow a Flick to play more carries and still round out the comp with something like a Cho'Gath, and then the Shen as well in the right comps. And I think in the current meta, I would love to see his Shen come out again.
Yeah, and something to note, my former teammate Shikari is the reigning champion of the UK, back-to-back wins. So a lot of pressure on his shoulders in particular, but a lot of pressure to throw on him from that. And I think the main thing with Shikari is how consistent he is and how willing he is to fill the role of his team. He doesn't have to be the carry, but he can be. And he can play tanks as well and provide what his team needs.
And the thing that the MISFITS Academy has, if all else goes well, you can always rely on Chrisberg to be that late game assurance in the marksman role. He's had a pretty interesting journey from G2 Vodafone in the LVP Spanish League to I believe it was the French G2 team as well.
French Gamers Origin.
Gamers Origin, sorry. And so he's kind of just continuously jumped around these national leagues, found a home on one of the best UK teams here, and he'll be looking to show up as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it wasn't the greatest performance when he was on GTV, still relatively a rookie, but did get some experience. Gamers Origin, he wasn't on for long, did get replaced by Toaster, but really found his footing in the UK with MISFITS Academy, and I know he's very happy to have put that first win away, and will no doubt want to continue that.
My worry now is if he tries to be late game insurance in this meta, does he get the time to do so?
Well, we're going to find out. We're jumping into the first picks and bans of this series between MISFITS Academy and the Super Duper Giant Truck team. It is going to be a Morgana banned out, targeting White Walkers, kind of questionable here.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, they look similar special.
I can see the issue.
I think that's interesting just because last split when Kai'Sa was, sorry to interrupt, last split when Kai'Sa was released, Chrisberg said, I will always first, this was in the finals, he said, always first pick me Kai'Sa, I will always play Kai'Sa no matter what. And they're on blue side, they're banning it.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, these bans kind of say to me that, I don't know. I mean, I've watched some of these Super Duper Giant Truck team and games, and White Walker has played 2 champions, Karthus and Morgana.
Syndra support is their worry? I don't understand here.
This is the thing. If they play weird, you give them weird bans. So they're trying to ban away some funky stuff there.
Maybe they're selling something.
Sense. Yeah, wait.
Maybe it's not in English.
I don't know that. Vel'Koz.
I don't want to use that out just in case it's really bad. No, the other side, some fairly standard bans. Seeing the Lucian get taken away, which obviously a good marksman for Chrisberg. And then the Swain and Nidalee. Afflict, someone who is very confident. Nidalee, we talked about that yesterday. People like pictures of champions on the profiles. Yeah, Afflict has that. He has Nidalee on his, so makes sense. But they do pick up the Talia. Again, great flex. Can go in the jungle, can go mid, or even bot lane.
I think Talia's rarely left up, though, because of mostly her strength in the jungle, but also that flex option. So I like it first of all as a first pick, but I do question not banning it out in the first place.
I mean, one thing that BB Muffin has shown a preeminence to pick is Evelynn. That Tahm Kench is interesting. You would expect it in the bot lane, but if there's one person who likes to play Kench in odd places, it is?
It's Watley. So Watley has a bit of a weird champion pool. He plays Mundo, Singed, and Tahm Kench. And you might be thinking, Mundo and Singed are in this meta. Yeah, but
he's been playing them for years.
He's been playing them. He'll play them no matter what. If they're like 30% win rate or 80% win rate, he'll play them. And deciding to go for the Tahm Kench here, and then Evelynn coming out from B. It's weird. It seems like they don't realize you can swap champions. They're just picking what they want. Yeah, BB Muffin confident in this Evelynn. Played it both games against
Played
Barrage.
it so many times. I mean, it opened the open division up against Dandy Chap, who's like known as an Evelynn player. Very hotly contested pick in that series. So far, Super Duper Giant Truck Team kind of showing why they're the odd sorts of this tournament so far. We do see that Graves getting locked in and a Rumble as well.
Yeah, Rumble works really well if this is a Tahm Kench top, because he's always been designed to play up against tanks. Liandry's burn, he's actually seen a few buffs over the past few patches. You actually saw his Q get buffed, and then later on it was his shield getting buffed, so you can just really punish that if it's a Tahm Kench top.
Yeah, and I mean, Graves does sort of force you into knowing where the Talia is, but it is a very strong jungle in this situation. I do remember Shikari, there was one point where he said he was going to learn Rumble, and he spammed it on one of his accounts and lost like 16 games in a row. But he did end up learning it, so able to pull it out here, and we are seeing White Walker pick Karthus. We've said there's two champs he'll play, and they are...
the Karthus and, of course, Morgana.
And decide to go for the Karthus here, so... Yeah. I think that's decent into Talia, because if you find a good angle and you can see he's going to exhaust and exhaust the clear, you can actually get an all-in at level 1.
I do wonder if Super Duper Giant Truck Team are going to leave Zoe open here and try and bait it out of Kenzuki, because it seems strange, but every time White Walker has picked Karthus, it has been into a Zoe. Okay, now we're just getting a Nunu bans. This is major disrespect, I think, just coming out of Misfits Academy.
At this point, when you know the Talia is probably going mid, I don't think they're trying to bait out the Zoe necessarily. I mean, I think Karthus does okay into that, apart from the shoving is a power. But yeah, it seems like Misfits aren't too phased with the bans. They want to give Super Duper Giant Truck Team whatever they have, and face it head on.
I mean, in fairness, sorry, no, what they're trying to get rid of here is the Karthus Nunu. So they could have had the Nunu just roam with them, and that was their worry. A bit strange with Evelynn already locked in, but maybe they're worried that that would have been a support roaming up. It's the only thing I could think of why you'd actually ban that.
No, finally a ban that makes sense. Okay, the Thresh is actually a good ban, because a Venomous Shoe is, I don't want to say one trick, but he's a Thresh one trick.
I mean, he loves Thresh. He's been playing for 6 years. It's one of his favorite champions. Has been picking other stuff where necessary. Even when Thresh isn't banned away, there's that Brum coming through. Misfits Academy, to round things up, you're expecting in the bot side of the map. We'll have to see what they do decide to pick up.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of options open, particularly with the current bot there, so not really pressured to make a choice. Against a Braum, I mean, I don't know.
Pick whatever. Ezreal, just play it safe.
No, looks like they're going to go for the Vladimir. So
we got some cheese going on.
I'm not sure if Vladimir bots cheese anymore, but looks like Chrisberg is willing to play things that aren't 80 carries, particularly in this meta. And then, oh, wow, that's disgusting. What? That's actually so disgusting. You should feel bad for this Prosper. That's not... Who does that? Who honestly does that? I mean, I can understand it, because the Braum is someone who can't provide instant CC. You need to land your Q, you need follow-up. It's very hard to do, and especially against a Vladimir Soraka. If the Soraka plays back, you can't punish a Vladimir because there's so much healing onto him and the pool. So, and it looks like Super Duper Giant Truck Team are just going to go for that Ezreal, which means they're just want to farm it out. So not a great situation for them either. Unless they farm out a late game and they make use of this Karthus just one-shot everyone, then it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, the all-ins are still quite strong with Ezreal Braum. My issue is you lose out a lot because Ezreal poke is just completely negated by Soraka.
Yeah.
Once you get to and then once you get later on, though, you do have the options of Karthus. Will likely go for that early Morellonomicon. Team fights are still there for Super Duper Giant Truck Team. I'm just worried that Misfits will use their experience to just trump them in lanes.
I mean, that's the thing. Super Duper Giant Truck Team in their matchup against Barrage in the round of 16. Barrage, the 8th place Premiership team from the previous season. That was a long game. That was a 49-minute game where Super Duper Giant Truck Team were behind for the majority of it, but it was one team fight that really turned it around and, you know, just missed positions. And it was that Carfus really that came up huge for them. Fighting in a very tight corridor, not where you want to fight a Carfus, even if you can blow him up very quickly. And then High on Anxiety was able to clean up the mess. Like you mentioned, Misfits Academy, a team with far more experience, and you would expect them to potentially make better decisions when it comes to where they do decide to fight.
You'd hope.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, we have to be fair that they are the massive favourites coming into this, but still, I respect that Super Duper Giant Truck Team. They're playing what they know. They're sticking to champs they're confident on. They're not like, we need to do something new. Like, look, this is what's worked so far. We're gonna do it again, and you know, it worked against Barrage, and I think people didn't really expect them to win the Open qualifier. They did. People didn't really expect them to beat Barrage. They did. It's a long shot.
yeah,
But maybe they can give at least a good fight to Misfits Academy.
And I mean, again, you're looking at picks that are super unusual, like Evelyn as well, that tends to lack that early pressure. I'm really interested in seeing how BB Muffin plans on making it work. The only Irish player to actually play in this tournament.
Right.
Making it just about a UK and Irish tournament.
I mean, that's the thing. It's UK and Ireland residents.
Yeah, gotta have the token Irish person involved. Just, yeah, very important.
Where is he? I don't know. Where are you pointing at? I don't get it.
So BB Muffin is one of the Irish players, and obviously I think that's the key thing, is that if you play the same game as Misfits, they're really good at that. You know, they proved that last split. But if you play your own game, you might end up choosing them.
And I think for BB Muffin, from what I understand, wasn't happy playing just on Irish teams, wanted to try and take it further. I mean, you're playing for a university team here. This is a National University Esports League team, the NUL, who put on the collegiate tournaments here in the United Kingdom. Super Duper Giant Truck Team, you know, coming from University of Exeter, are the second best technically NUL team that has to offer. Desolate was technically the
Misfits
first
already
one,
beat them.
and Misfits have already beat them.
That has to be your worry coming into this. You know, you just lost to Desolate. They just beat Desolate. See how you're doing going forward. Maybe this strategy works. Maybe they didn't have this for Newell. It all depends on whether they think this will work.
I think as well as a different meta. I think that's a big thing, is that this meta tends to suit Super Duper Giant Truck Team as well. We said Watley plays these champions no matter what. You know, in a meta where Mundo and Singed are actually pretty good.
Been playing them for 4 years.
Yeah, and you saw that in the open stage of the tournament. They obviously did perform better than Desolate. So, you know, maybe they stand a better chance than Desolate did against Misfits Academy.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, with the meta starting to shift towards Watley, BB Muffin very happy on this Evelyn. We haven't seen too much Evelyn so far on the broadcast, but it was featured a lot in the open division. Quite a lot of junglers bringing it to the table. I'm really interested to see how Kenzuki kind of fits the role in the side of Misfits Academy. You would expect with such raw talent, you know, a 900 LP challenger player. It's pretty high, you know, I'm pretty sure top 10 multiple times.
Yeah.
He has shown up huge in the solo queue. One person we haven't even talked about is Afflict, you know, who's kind of infamous in solo queue for being a little bit too aggressive. I think he started to learn to play on a team a little bit in the previous, you know, season. But
learn to play on a team in a team game is a solid strategy for most players, and I'm glad that he's finally gotten around to it.
I mean, if you're going to do it for any team, Misfits Academy, who has the support staff behind you, is the one to do it for.
Yeah, and I think Afflict has gotten a lot better. I mean, initially he was a bit of an aggressive solo queue player, had some misplays last game, but he was much more of a team player last split, and managed to help his team, and even sometimes I would say he managed to put the house fire out and save the rest of his team.
That's a pretty important place to be. For a jungler, lots of progression coming out from these guys. We've given our opinions, words that come out of our mouths that apparently I can't say. But I'd love to hear from you guys back at home what you guys are thinking. Tweet us at LVPUK with the hashtag Forge of Champions 1. Misfits Academy, will they take it easily? Or are the new giants of the Super Duper Giant Truck team going to upset the #1 Premiership team?
I mean, they have a longer name.
I mean, I'm not going to lie, I hope so.
Yeah,
it would just be really funny.
I'm not biased, but I want Super Duper Giant Truck team to win.
They have a longer name and arguably a better name already.
Logo.
So, yeah.
It's a better... They have a theme song.
Yeah, exactly. So they've got a lot of advantages.
VSDGTT on Twitter. Go follow them. It's time to jump onto the Summoner's Rift for the last game of the quarterfinals. Super Duper Giant Truck team taking it to Misfits Academy.
Last series, don't worry. They're not about to just make this a best of one. We'll keep it going. I'm looking forward to this. I want to see... Basically, Game 1 will really dictate the pace because this is exactly all of Super Duper Giant Truck Team's strengths, exactly what they're used to playing. If it falls apart once, Game 2 is probably going to look like something similar. Whereas, you know, if you see it work once, you then have Misfits forcing to adapt to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And for Super Duper Giant Truck Team, they need to play their game and their game alone. It's essentially all they have for them is their little mini meta that they play around. Watley with the Tahm Kench up top. What can he do against a Rumble? We'll have to find out. It seems like Misfits were all over it, though.
Yeah, I mean, they knew the Tahm Kench was going top. You could see, based on the way they were picking after that, their only worry in the draft really was that they might go Karthus Nunu, and they just countered that as soon as they thought it might be an option.
That's a lot of damage already on to White Walker, who takes a full barrage there from Kenzuki. Not the way you want to start off your game.
Yep, I mean, just getting poked out quickly by this Taliyah, but Watley.
Oh, that's some damage. Let's see what he can do with it. Gets the 3 stacks. Shikari.
He has grass procs. He just wins this outright.
I know, absolutely he does. Gonna throw it out. Stuns. This is even more damage for Watley. In the mid lane, White Walker going to take some hurt, some pain. Another stun onto Shikari. Watley kind of winning out this initial
no, he has
trade.
to respect it.
Forward. Watley on this Tahm Kench. I love it.
I was just about to say, he has to respect the Tahm Kench can just re-engage here. The grass proc will come back up along with the Q. And he almost managed to get it. Forces the flash out early and finally gets a CS.
Absolutely. The CS in the top lane has started here. White Walker continuing to receive the poke from this control mage in the mid lane. Taliyah, often we see her more towards the jungle side, but I do like seeing her come back to the mid.
I think that first trade top, that all plays into exactly what we're talking about. Play your own game. Yes, it's cheesy. Yes, it's not what we'd call competitively viable. But hey, if it works once.
I mean, if it works once against the Misfits Academy, then it works every time.
Sure. I don't question it. Let's go results-based analysis here.
Absolutely. So far, so good. Everyone just kind of holding their own in the lane. White Walker kind of receiving a bit of pressure, but so he hasn't really struggled too much. Did have to burn the exhaust, though, onto the Graves when a flick did come to lane. So that's something that he has to kind of respect. And in fact, I just looked over at the health bar. Seems to be chunking out Kenzuki quite a bit. You
can see he's actually allowed the waves to even out, and then as soon as they are, he's going for those single target Qs with the Karthus, making sure you get the maximum damage down.
Does look like a flicked spotted
Here it is.
out. Yeah, going straight on in. Heal gets used by Kenzuki.
Oh.
Great Susmic shove. And that is going to be the first blood going to Misfit.
Slight misplay there. And good response from Kenzuki to manage to dodge all those Karthus damage out.
I mean, Flash was available for White Walker, but I guess felt like he could just step out of it. Was not to be the case.
Yeah, I think he knew he was dead at that point. But you can see here, White Walker thought he had the damage. The heal was available for Kenzuki, and the exhaust wasn't from White Walker. And that's really what decided this trade. Goes for it, but because Kenzuki dodged that first Q, managed to escape and get first blood.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff coming through. Watley chasing a flicked all the way through the jungle, just being an annoying damn frog.
We did say Evelyn wouldn't have jungle pressure, so I guess their response is our top laner will have jungle pressure while Evelyn gets free farm and has managed to do a complete full clear.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like the CS lead so far in the jungle, 10 in the favor of BB Muffin, representing Ireland through thick and thin here. Super Duper Giant Truck Team in the bot lane, up against Chrisberg's and Vladimir, currently struggling. I mean, Orc said it was going to be a dirty composition. You can kind of see why so many heals available for this bot side.
Absolutely. I think we were expecting that Prosper and Chrisberg shouldn't struggle in the lane, and any poke that did come out would just be healed off. And it looks like you might be going for that classic Emax Soraka as well for just maximum reverse poke in the lane. Just chunk out that Ezreal. Alongside that, you have the Vladimir as well, who could just pretty much get free farm in the lane as Soraka's laning for you.
Yeah, absolutely. No teleport available for high on anxiety either, so that back towards his base is going to be punished heavily as the minions start crashing on into his tower.
Yeah, I think the heal might be necessary, though, against this kind of all-in style lane, especially as it approaches level 6. The Vladimir, with that electrocute, loves to just jump on in, see if he can pick off those AD carries. Why he's found himself in this strange bot lane meta, one of the most contested picks.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, so far so good. You're putting so much pressure onto this Ezreal. Already almost a 20 CS lead developed in the bot side when Chrisberg can get the favorable build back he wants, go back, get the items necessary to continue making high anxiety suffer.
looking back towards this jungle, you're saying Evelynn, you know, she needs a bit of time to scale. She's been given that because the top and mid lane have actually been putting down their own set of pressure.
Yep.
And from here,
looks like they might be setting up for something here. Watley knows there's no flash on Shikari. Can he land the stun now? He's just too far gone. Not quite able to execute how they wanted.
Yeah, the speed from the shield just getting him out of the Devour range. If that Devour had gone off, it likely would have been a dead Shikari.
Yeah, you would expect so, especially with the Evelynn charm that could come through.
Now, though, have to back off. You see, again, I think the real thing is BB Muffin is trying to farm for 6. Once you have 6, Evelynn's pretty much gotten past that kind of slow early game you expect her to have.
I mean, he's invading into Afflict's jungle here, really taking the battle to him directly, making sure he stays ahead in CS. And when you look at CS, it's fairly even across the board apart from this bot lane. It's where Misfits are starting to develop their lead, get that Vladimir ahead of this Ezreal early, and you're going to have good times.
I think it all comes down to that poke early on from the Vlad-Soraka combo. Again, Soraka and Vlad, with their point and click, can't be blocked away by Braum, so really just annoying to have to deal with for super duper giant truck team.
Yeah, it kind of removes his slight effectiveness in the lane that he can't kind of keep high anxiety any safer. Things slowing down, but we do have that level 6 now for BB Muffin on the Evelynn. We'll have to see where he does decide to focus. Afflict is actually heading towards the mid lane as well. Going to get spotted out. This could be the moment that they make the play, but look, Shikari's on the wings as well. Catching out this Evelynn. Well, I say catching out. She's actually just looking towards him, forcing a flash from Shikari as well. We didn't quite see it on our screens, but I can tell you it did happen.
Absolutely. Excellent use of both the mini-map awareness from our casters has... Anyway, Shikari, flash down.
Yes.
Ult up, though. If he does decide to go for a fight, it just decides to go back towards that mid lane.
Oh no, White Walker forced to flash away. Safe for now, you may be. Very low on HP. Talia not going to go for the aggressive all-out play against a Karthus.
So all this game is teaching us is that if you go for ganks, you are going to have to be forced to flash out.
Oh, speaking of ganks, Venomous Shrew diving on in. They're looking for the sun. They find it. It's going to be a kill going over, but oh no! That is going to be so much damage coming from Chrisberg as the Hema Plague takes the life of High on Anxiety. And now Venomous Shrew has to just walk away from this Vladimir, constantly trying to escape.
Yeah, and you see that damage was actually through heal. You could definitely see why Ezreal's having opted for the heal as opposed to the teleport. But we'll see now. Here's the all-in, and Prospero gets marked, so they decide to go absolutely for it. I agree with this trade. This Q almost cost them hugely.
Oh, no.
But instead, they managed to get the auto off just before the Soraka escapes. And then from there, Chrisberg just quickly bursts out Ezreal.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunate that Q could have... made things a little bit easier. They still would have lost High on Anxiety. There was no way he was surviving. The Hema Plague so well placed by Chrisberg to catch everyone out.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea from it. We were talking about how the Ezreal Braum all-in is strong. It just seems that Vladimir, with the more CS, is just looking that much stronger. Yeah,
20 CS in the bot lane for him, doing a good job.
And anyone wondering why you've gone coin on Vladimir while you were farming up yourself? Once you upgrade that to Nomad's Medallion, you actually get a nice bit of flat movement speed. And if anyone remembers why Shirelia's was built on Vladimir, it is literally all he wants is health, AP, and move speed.
Yeah.
And any items that give those, he absolutely loves. Also why you've seen him start reverting now towards that Spellbinder.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense. Chrisberg wanting to get on the back line and really provide as much threat as possible. So far, not really seeing any pressure come out of BB Muffin. Did have to use his ultimate, I believe, defensively to escape a collapse coming out of Kenzuki and Afflict. So I have to see where he does decide to put his pressure when that ultimate does come back up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking now, again, I love the idea of this Evelynn pick. It's very fun. It's not picked very often.
Oh.
I haven't been super impressed yet, but what I will say is Evelynn is one of the few assassins that actually scales quite well into the game because of how your ult allows you to escape fights and provides a massive AoE damage nuke.
The Strake being taken right now by Afflict and the rest of Misfits Academy, roaming down to make sure he can do so safely. White Walker will be stopped from engaging in. There it goes, the Mountain Drake for the rest of the team. BB Muffin not really in position to be able to contest anything there.
I think not really wanting to go into a full fight, especially given the amount of bot lane priority Misfits have, but looks like they might go for the gank.
Yeah, definitely. That not missing everything. Venomous Shrew, and oh no, the turnaround. Here comes the teleport as well from Shikari. Looking like it's going to be disaster for the side of Super Duper Giant Truck Team, though the Rumble ult not quite connecting in the way you want it to. everyone getting out with their lives, but with 4 members down in the bot side, this tower will certainly lose it.
That was a lot of missed skill shots in a row. Not going to lie. Does leave Misfits with the advantage. Could have gotten a little more if the Rumble's ult had also been put in the right direction, but again, just trying to follow suit. There are a lot of missed skill shots. Let's also miss one last one before this ends and get themselves first tower regardless.
I like the idea that Ox kind of set up Shikari with the Rumble pick, saying, you know, he wanted to learn it, but kind of lost.
Yeah, I see how he lost all those games.
I'm sure he's got it down. Oh, so close.
Oh, he gets it!
Actually, nice.
The Ludicrous proc.
Yeah, very nice. Good steal there from BB Muffin.
That's actually part of the 8.13 changes. The Hunter's Talisman now being able to burn out the camps actually allowed for that to tick to 1 health and then tick down to 0.
Yep, no, that's good stuff. BB Muffin will be able to steal that one away. I mean, it's just a consolation prize at this point. Nothing really to scream home about. Wally is in the bot side, though, has teleport available. It does look like Misfits are moving their bot side up towards the top tower. You would expect that maybe Super Duper Giant Truck team respond by sending High Anxiety and Venomous Shrew up as well, but it is slightly slow.
One of the things worth noting, though, is that Watley is a big Singed player as well. And the most important thing to note when you play things like Tam Kench, like Singed, is that your ideal is just controlling the map. And you can see he's looking for ult opportunities wherever he's going to be given them. And right now, Misfits just playing the map smartly, not giving him those openings.
The lane swap well in way. Watley does move into the bot lane, chasing down Shikari.
You can't run forever.
Forces a flash! He must have expected that Evelyn was there as well. That's the only explanation.
It's such a slow burn when Tam Kench walks at you like that. I love it, though.
I mean, the pressure that comes from having an Evelyn on the other side. You don't know where she's going to be.
That's true. I mean, even Tam Kench by himself.
White Walker in trouble. Flipped here. That's just going to be boom! With the collateral damage, and here comes Watley towards the mid lane to try and turn things around.
He might be able to.
Going to be the target. Soraka coming on down the seismic shove. Puts him in a bad position. There's the heals. Watley going to flash on top. Gets the heal from High on Anxiety, and High going to look to try and push on forward just a little bit further. The Talia's War pushing up, stopping Anxiety from an easy escape. The seismic shove, so well predicted. And the Rumble ult gonna clean up the fight as Shikari moves forward. That's 2 kills and a third. The 4th, of course, was White Walker earlier. Misfits very clean.
Yeah, they tried to get into that fight, but you actually saw what Watley did was more of a solo play, where you like to leave them in the Devour for as long as possible to make sure your Q's coming back up. However, what that did is it allowed the Soraka time to make it to the fight and heal. Unfortunate there for them. I like the idea of some of these aggressive plays, but Misfits just out-rotating them.
Yeah, we can see it here. It's all started with White Walker being caught out with a seismic shove, a flit coming in, and you see the teleport coming through from the Tam Kench, but it just didn't really have the effect necessary.
Yeah, I mean, he had the damage here, and I mean, it's a surprising amount of damage. You can see he holds him in the Devour, trying to make sure he can full rotation him on the way out, but in comes the heal, and the rest of Misfits just that little bit quicker. They think they can now turn this now that they've got 4 members, but Chrisberg on the back means that they just take this fight.
That's so sad watching Watley die like that, and then the seismic shove knocks 2 back. The Rumble ult just perfectly placed this time from Shikari to make sure that they had the full effect, and everyone ended up losing their life on the side of Super Duper Giant Truck team one way or another.
And I have to say, you're definitely seeing why Talia is such a highly contested pick, even while out of the jungle, when she doesn't have the best wave clear. Just the sheer damage alone and control that the seismic shove can put down has allowed them to take these fights pretty convincingly. Yeah,
currently a 5,000 gold lead, 7-1 in favor of the Misfits. Another Mountain Drake looking like it's going to be joining us on the Rift in just a minute and a half. Misfits already have 1, and it's only just going to help their scaling and, you know, pushing ability as this game goes on.
Yeah, and what I will say is Misfits are playing rather respectful at this point. They could, you know, try to be pushing their advantage, try to be going for, you know, big flashy plays. Instead, they're playing it slow, they're allowing Graves time to farm, playing to their comp's strengths as opposed to forcing anything. I mean, for a team to go 9-1 in the previous split and, you know, continuously have these large winning streaks, it has to be because they are respecting their opponents. Oh, that chunk on High on Anxiety is disgusting. Half his health from a single combination, and Crispo's going to go forward and finish the job. I mean, Venomous Shrew, you can't do anything, unfortunately. Goodbye, Ezreal. You do get the knock-up from Venomous Shrew, but it's not going to be enough.
BB Muffin trying to find the execute, not going to happen. Flit should be able to deal with him easily. The tower goes down in the top side, and currently Super Duper Giant Truck Team are just falling to pieces. Yeah,
and you're now seeing the struggle of an Evelyn that's behind, can't find her way into fights, and is left just effectively walking around, and now White Walker.
I mean, he's just a Carthus in the wrong spot. Everyone splits up. Does find one kill. Requiem coming through, but will be dodged out by Chrisberg, of course. And you expect that Misfits will just turn their attention to this tier 2 in the top side, finish the job. Watley's here. I'm not sure Watley can do much. Maybe he keeps the tower alive for a second, taking down that Rift Herald, but Kenzuki trying to just trying to take it down.
Bit ambitious.
Okay, well, they saved it. That's good.
They managed to save it. Not for long, I imagine. They can just go back up there. So Rift Herald, not entirely in vain. For of course, they do manage to get that first tower, and a really good fight for them. Still very much Misfits in control. 6k gold lead, objective lead as well with the Dragon. They can just keep pushing with this. Yeah, absolutely. Right now, Misfits not going to relent in their pressure game here, constantly pushing just a little harder down on Super Duper Giant Truck Team's exhaust pipes. Damn, that got dark. I mean, it's accurate, though. Definitely Misfits the ones in control. And I think looking down towards that bot lane, the 6-0-1 Vladimir has been huge. Anytime a fight kicks off, you see Chrisberg Q someone for almost half their health. And the Hemo Plagues at the start as well, I think are really difficult to deal with them. Unfortunately, they just haven't been able to get the engines roaring. And, you know, they needed to get ahead early, make their kind of unconventional picks work. But it's such a hard task to do against a team like Misfits Academy. You know that you're up against the world, really, at this point. Yeah, and I mean, I still think, you know, Super Duper Giant Truck Team are coming into this as the open qualifier, and they're up against the top Premiership team. From Misfits' point of view, this is the expected result. Yeah, absolutely. Watley, he is called out here. Oh, there it is. I mean, he's just chilling, having a bit of fun. Trying to pop the shield on himself, turn on to Kenzuki, but devours him up and says goodbye. It's a good chunk of damage. He took more, though, and thus he died. Took a lot more, considering he's a tank as well. BB Muffin now in a fight between Shikari. Does look like he is in a bit of trouble. White Walker as well, flashing forward onto Kenzuki, wants the action. Redemption going to come through to keep Kenzuki alive. Almost stealing the kill. Prosper is able to do. Shinkari and Chrisberg continuing the action on the other side of the map. That's a Hemo Plague that will take out Anxiety. BB Muffin low. Chrisberg moving in for the final bit of damage, and they will be able to take him out. Misfits 15-2, taking down this tower in the bot side, looking super strong. Yeah, this is over at this point, to be honest. Misfits have complete control. Watley says no, bringing Venomous Shrew in for a fight this time. I say yes. I mean, this is not going well. Watley in a 1v5 on his Tom Kenchimore, devouring up Shinkari before he spits him out, and Chrisberg takes him down. He almost got one, in fairness, and I think that's all they're going for at this point, just seeing if they can land a few pot shots. Hey, I got kills. Here's the replay of this White Walker flashing. I mean, I like the idea. He did have the damage to kill Kenzuke, but with the heal and then Soraka coming in, it just wasn't enough. This fight almost going all right. Unfortunately, Venomous Shrew not really finding the Glacial Fissures necessary. I mean, Chrisberg just so far ahead at this point. Ignite doesn't even matter because just the flat damage that Vladimir is doing is destroying their health bars. 1 minute left until this Baron does... Until it's surrenderable? I mean, I wasn't going to say that. You did. I mean, until the Baron comes, 2 Mountain Drakes means it's going to go down very quickly. And you'd think that Misfits will then finally put Super Duper Giant Truck Team out of their misery here. Yeah, and I mean, in fairness, that's what we were saying, that they are this open team. From Misfits' side, you really needed to win this from a morale point of view. You want to come in, and if you're going to be the strongest Premiership team, you should be comfortably dealing with these open teams, and they look comfortable. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Looking like they're having a good time out on the Rifter, a comfortable time, legs up for sure. Just chilling out. Chrisberg not really feeling threatened by BB Muffin there. Just going to be able to walk on backwards. Watley, though, putting the pressure onto Shikari. Go on. Throwing out the emote as well. I love it. Shikari holding his own this time, but the Devour pulls him back out. I think he might find the solo kill. Oh, no, the Redemption coming through. The rest misses of the team. It out. The rest of the team is coming. Soraka, of course, has her heal as well. That can provide everything necessary. He's going to stick to it. He wants it. Can he get it? He wants it as much as possible. Oh, no, it doesn't happen. And now White Walker may just lose his life as well. To the Hemo Plague. Oop, there it goes. You know what? Heartless Morgana is not that strong in this meta. I think he's struggling.
Yeah, no, White Walker's kind of found himself in the wrong place, wrong time. Watley 0-4 and 0, just trying his best to find a kill.
I think you are seeing some of the weaknesses of Karthus, though. When a team is coordinated around you, they can really punish your complete lack of mobility. And you saw in the early game, he knew his damage. He was very close to getting that 1v1 kill. But once he starts to fall behind, once Misfits know to group, know to punish that, there's very little he can do. Yeah,
well, that's the thing. I mean, Misfits just playing exactly what they need to do here, keeping split on up. Kenzuki going to Zonya's on up, surrounded. Here comes Chrisberg as well.
Oh, God.
That's an instantaneous kill onto the Evelyn from Chrisberg. And Misfits, they've just been, 1-3-1, split. 4 Super Duper Giant Truck team to take these small individual skirmishes where they're already behind so they can't win them, and continue to get objectives where we can.
Yeah, 11-01 on this Vladimir. Chrisberg, certainly the biggest carry on this team, but far from alone in that spot.
That's for sure.
Everyone else looking very strong. Should make this Baron quite easy, and with Soraka ulting just to make sure everyone's high health, this should almost certainly be going over to them.
I
wonder if they're going to throw Karthus into the center.
I mean, well, that's the thing. Karthus has so much individual damage. Can he land the steal over a smite? You wouldn't expect it. Oh, they knocked him up! Karthus is not in position. That's going to be the Baron secured, and here comes the Chaleo War. Venomous Shrew in trouble. White Walker just behind, also not in a position he wants to be. It does look like White Walker is going to be the next casualty of the boardroom, as he does end up falling here. Misfits, it's all business in the office. Chrisberg, so close to losing his life, but it didn't happen. And of course, here comes Nino, Emblem Soraka to make sure that things go well.
Yeah, just giving Soraka the move speed. That's all that trade was.
Yes. Here comes the replay. I mean, just seemed like White Walker was in position to go for this Baron still.
Yeah, he didn't have flash, so he couldn't make his way over, which is the common thing to do as Karthus. You jump into the center knowing your passive will allow you to go for it for longer. Instead, you get Chrisberg just chunking people out at the start, high anxiety, almost killed by actually a really well-placed Rumble ult this time around. And then, it doesn't matter, as long as you bring White Walker close to Chrisberg, he just dies. Look at the flash, though.
Look at that flash, just straight out of the Evelyn ult. Beautiful stuff from Chrisberg. That would have been his first F.
Yeah, and I mean, it would have been a lot of shutdown gold with the bounties having been increased in 8.13. Right. Probably wouldn't have swung the 15k gold lead very much, but, you know.
What do we want? 15k gold bounties. When do we want them? 8.14.
Unfortunately not. And at 23 minutes, double mountain. These towers should go down relatively quickly. Misfits, really one last fight left in Super Duper Giant Truck Team.
One last fight as 5. Let's see what they can do. Currently, Misfits just holding out, taking damage out of this tower. Chrisberg versus Watley is a matchup that Watley will struggle with on this Tahm Kench, and he has to flash away, but not to his safety, as the collateral damage does come through to finish him off. It's now a 5 versus 4, and Misfits going to continue pressuring around the map, pushing both mid and the top side simultaneously to make sure that they do eventually secure both of these inhibitors. A lot of damage going on. BB Muffin, though, on the backline trying to find Kenzuki, but, I mean, Prosper's got all over this, and that is going to be Shikari picking up the kill. With Watley and BB Muffin down, you think it's time for Misfits to finish the job.
Absolutely, and I think it's just... At this point, it's been this way for a while, but it's just been Super Duper Giant Truck Team trying to get kills on the board, and just being denied.
Oh no, White Walker can't even heal on the fountain there. The Talia Wall stops him up. That is going to be it. The last Requiem to seal the deal here for Super Duper Giant Truck Team, as the Misfits Academy, the #1 team from the Premiership, going to take Game 1 of this series at 24 minutes, 24-2.
And the big worry for them now, what I talked about before the game, is you just played your most comfortable style and got hard stomped. Where do you go?
I mean, what do you...
I would say that was a very close game.
Yep.
I think, you know...
I'm taking notes.
Misfits started to run away with it, but I think for the most part, you know... Yeah, they just stomped them. I think that's the main thing. They absolutely murdered them.
How many circles around close game do I do?
Yeah, maybe 3, 4.
Okay.
Well,
yeah,
of the Super Duper Giant Truck Team, I think that was more of a dump truck of a game. Maybe a more... Yeah.
I think... Okay, you tried your normal thing, it didn't work. I think next game, go for something really crazy, like absolutely off the wall that no one will expect, and then...
You put the Tahm Kench jungle to start.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it can't get worse than that game, I'll be honest. Yeah. That is probably the most one-sided game we've casted. Well, you've casted.
It is.
So far, yeah. I mean...
Brutal.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was cleanly played by Misfits.
Yeah,
gotta give them that.
Credit to them.
Let's focus on Misfits because it is their victory. They started things off very strong in that bot side. I mean, you said it was going to be a dirty composition. The Vladimir Soraka.
I don't feel like I think Prospect needs to go for a shower after that game. I don't see how you can actually play that and feel comfortable with yourself. It's just disgusting.
And I mean, I have to. I'm really impressed. The amount of respect that came out of Shikari every time Watley kind of moved forward. I mean, he flashed on command.
I mean, I was laughing at it, but like Tamkench does have the damage to take you out if you allow him that long lane.
Yeah. Also, if Shikari got solo killed, he'd never hit the end of it. I mean, that would be something else. Get solo killed by a Tamkench in 8.13. Interesting.
In Forge of Champions as well. Really good stuff from Misfits Academy. I mean, you can't fault them. Didn't really mess up at any point. Only
they gave away 2 kills.
They gave up 2 kills. Maybe they can fix that.
Too many.
I mean, well, let's watch it down. This is the 13-minute mark. High anxiety called out. Great, says Big Shove.
That was so nice. It was actually the predictions coming out, and the Talia was really good. Honestly, there are very few people who played in any way poorly on this team. Massive shout out to Chrisberg, though, who was the major carry.
Oh yeah, he was so good on Vlad. I mean, there he gets past the Braum so he can get all the damage onto the Ezreal, and then he's like, oh, I'll take the Braum as well. And then there he moves into cover, and actually great smoke screen from Afflict there. It means BB Muffin doesn't find the ult onto the Soraka.
And I love this. He just about makes it as far down the wall as possible, gets stuck.
That's mean. It's mean, right? That's unfair. But, you know, it does end up getting taken out. But yeah, you can just see almost a lot of these replays just start with a great seismic shove from Kanzuki. And yeah, I won't dispute that Super Duper Giant Truck team aren't one of the strongest teams we have in the 4G Champions, but he looks very good here, and it looks like he is coordinated with the team and did a great job. That you can't fault him. He beat what was in front of him.
Yeah, and I do have to say, Prosper as well. He was helping people survive a lot of these kind of not desperation plays, we'll say, but certainly just looking for kills that you had Super Duper Giant Truck Team going for. Just completely denied by Soraka.
Yeah,
I mean that's what Soraka does, right? That's the whole point. Is
I understand. I think the Soraka works well as a counter to Karthus, because when he goes to ult, you go to ult, and I'm going to use that as a reason as why I picked it, and not just because he's a disgusting person who would do that.
I mean, it was a fantastic game 1 from the Misfits Academy. It was expected. We'll have to see if the Super Duper Giant Truck team can refuel and come back at it after this break. Game 2.
I gave you everything, held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me.